All right. So anyway, so tonight we have Sarah and Marianne. We're gonna talk some ghost hunting. We're going to talk some uh yeah, we're gonna talk some fun stuff tonight. Ghost hunting, we've got some fun news pulled up. And yeah, that's what we've got. So I gotta get some sharing out of the way. Da, 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 da.
I hate my voice.
Your voice
I
sounds
hate mine
fun.
too.
Oh goodness, guys.
And when I would have to sit and listen to these before we got all of the equipment, it was just like nails
well,
on a
we did it.
chalkboard.
When we did it back then on the crappy equipment, that was rough.
And I'd have to listen to the whole show 2 or 3 times. I'm like, I cannot listen to myself another second.
Remember
No,
before
that's
we
not it.
when we used to do the video editing stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it would take 25 hours to set up a 40-minute video. It was so horrible. It was just
Are you doing it unhaunted?
No, I didn't do it there.
I'll do it there.
I have so many websites. It's like, no.
so anyway, so
Welcome to the show, everyone.
yeah, welcome to the show. So before we kick off some news, we've got a what would you call it, an EVP that we're going to listen to tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to have some I guess you'd call it some intro to where they were, kind of what they were doing. And then there's another haunting hunt that they've been that these ladies have been kind of running down lately, and they'll share that with us. Of course, we won't get any addresses, which I don't want. Thank you.
Unless
Matter of
it's
fact,
simply to avoid them.
if you can give me a vicinity of the block, so I
Just let me tell you, when one of us says, hey, don't put your tent over there, maybe listen, Mary.
did you put your
No.
tent in a haunted place?
Well, we got there and we saw this like thing
This,
with
this
red
goes
eyes.
back to Minden, what we were just
Yeah.
talking about, where they call it the witch's hanging tree, where they supposedly hung the
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
The
Yeah.
first, yeah. So there was
They
a
hung
tree.
witches out here?
Supposedly, there's no real
Yeah.
proof.
Apparently, she was dragged up by the Mormon battalion and hung there. And next
as
to
a
it,
witch.
yeah.
Mhm.
And next to it, there's a tree, and we first
It's like a
got
little
there.
dinky tree. There's
Yeah.
there's like a big tree, and you're like, that's the tree. But then there's like this little dinky tree, and you're like, there's something with that tree over
Yeah,
there.
so I put my tent there.
After
And
I told her
then
not to.
We kept seeing something with like
Well,
red eyes staring at us and weird growls, and I ended up sleeping in her tent.
Did you
Which I was thankful
could
for, it
you
was
like
cold.
see the thing?
Multiple people saw it and heard
Yeah.
it. Hmm.
Yeah, the guys
Like
were
is it
all
when
like,
you told her not to put it there?
no,
it's
it wasn't. So at first she put it there, and she's like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then we're like
Mm-hmm.
sitting about the campfire. We're like going to go to the bathroom, and then we're like walking back, and she's like, okay, I'm not sleeping in my tent. I was like, well, why? What happened? She goes, there's something crouched there with red eyes. And then the men like were started freaking out, and we're like, what's going on? And they're like, I swear to God, there was something just over there growling, and it's really tall and had red eyes, and it was staring at us, and we all saw it. Meanwhile, you know, I had my Ambien. I didn't have any problems. I just went to bed.
I'm out.
I was out.
I cuddled with you in the bed.
I was so cold. It was so cold in June.
S-
If you go up there, though, beware of the free grazing cows.
Seriously,
they will
though.
track you down. And there's nasty poo everywhere.
You were
Oh.
like yodeling at it the whole time.
So hold the phone. You pitched a tent
Hmm.
and then saw something in the tent?
No, right next to it.
Crouching next to it.
Oh,
Crouching
only next to it. Then that's
And I was gonna sleep
what?
I was gonna sleep in that tent alone,
I would
and I was fine until
I'm
the
wondering
men started.
if-
I
freaking
would have
out.
been less when I saw the tarantula.
Could I
would
have it-
packed it up, put it in the truck?
could I have had my
drove away.
truck in gear and clutch pressing against the plate before the starter disengaged?
Well, I mean, Andrew, who you never met, he was on the team before. But like as soon as he saw that, he was like, okay, guys, bye.
Yeah, he left and went home.
Yep. That'd have been me.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
that
yeah.
was kind of funny. It was kind
Yeah.
of a cute little MO, as every time something would be like, leave, you'd be like, all
All
right,
right,
then,
leaving.
bye.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
at least he was out there trying. Like he, you know.
Yeah.
So how close was like a public parking area to this place? place?
It's
well, you
all- you
can
can
drive
just go
right
up
up
there.
there.
I'm talking
Well, if you drive
Like
up
a
the dirt
Target?
road.
It's
Well
a
lit.
Target,
it's
Walmart.
muddy and steep, and it's
security
like the middle
cameras.
of nowhere. The nearest
Yeah.
thing's probably like 5 miles away at a farm.
Yeah.
I mean, you have service, but there's no like power lines or any like stores
Mm.
nearby.
Ryan says I slept in the back seat of my truck that night.
Yeah, he
He
did.
refused to sleep in our tent.
Yeah, we're like, Ryan, come on, it'll be fine. There's plenty of room because Sarah brings a
Ryan's like
big,
8 foot
huge
tall.
tent.
but
And he
but-
slept in the back seat. So did he
Well-
taco in there?
No, like in
When
the
you
bed
do
of the
that, do you
truck.
fold yourself in half and scoot your butt in and then just go to sleep?
No, like
I'm,
he
I'm
had
a glamper, so I have a full queen size bed that's lifted up. It's a mattress.
Yep.
And then there's still a whole section of tent that's not even used.
Oh man. Yeah, I am a well no, I camp in the rough, but I've never camped with ghosts.
I do it all the time. Like
Yeah.
at Merker Cemetery.
Yeah, I
You
got
camp
Asylum 49.
You camp up there?
Yeah,
Yeah, we bring, like, our
Ryan and
trailer
Mary and I
up
went
there.
last time, and
Or
I
we bring a
got
tent or
let
a
me see if I
trailer
have
up
it.
there. I've slept in the hospital beds in a hospital gown at Asylum 49.
Nope.
You know, things like
Yeah,
that.
Mary's got no fear. She's
So you threw on one of their old
Yeah,
hospital
one
gowns.
of their used old hospital gowns, and I slept on the bed where the operating room was. I slept there for like an hour with a camera on and all the equipment.
Did anything happen?
Well, yeah, we got a lot of stuff on the SLS movement. We have actually
The SLS is the
the structured light sensor camera. It shows the stick
like the
figures.
Xbox number.
Mm-hmm. But the real one, the $1,500 one, is the one we
Okay.
have. And we got footage of, it almost looked like there was a spirit working on the ivy pole that was right next to me. Lots of
And
like,
you're okay after this.
You know what? I might actually have this photo. If you want to go to my file where it says Sarah, I'm trying to
Okay.
see if I could find it for you. So we
This
went up
is-
there in
So-
September, wasn't it?
to Merker?
Yeah.
I don't know. I go there like once a month.
It was like
Who
if you go to
knows
like
when it
view
was.
all.
So let's do a quick introduction.
Yes.
Okay.
Tell us who you are,
Yeah,
what
Mary.
group you're with, and a
Okay.
little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm Mary. I've been investigating for almost 6 years now. So since I was like a young one. I started with Paranormal Girls, and I'm also on Sarah's team, The Hidden Realm. And then we're also introducing a new team here soon that we're going to have people that can come on and they can join it. It'll just be like a nice, like, paranormal welcome society type
It's
thing.
not going to be an actual team. It's
No.
more of an
where
event.
anybody on any team can come and join it type thing is what we're trying to do.
A society.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Sounds fancy.
So, when did you get into ghost hunting, and what is your specialty?
So I got into ghost hunting when I was 13. So, and the first place,
She is fearless.
and I've been anywhere and everywhere. I've had almost every single team here in Utah strap a camera to me and send me into attics, into basements,
Nope.
into a tunnel a mile away alone, middle of nowhere, cemeteries.
Nope.
Just because I'm normally the bait, because I'm the youngest one.
The bait?
That's what they call me.
Oh, you need better friends.
Just to know, I have never done that to her.
No, you haven't. But
Well, we heard that story about you where you went to where there's an altar and there's a witch
Yeah.
running around or something.
Yeah.
and
I'm
gonna go
that's up in
frolic.
the park at the Capitol.
I'm going to
yes.
frolic here at midnight.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I was like,
So, but my specialty mainly is in home cleansings. I do any sort of method. I specialize in the Wiccan or pagan method by using witchcraft. But I also can do any cleansing methods. I'm trained in Catholic, Mormon, Islam, really anything you can think of.
Mm.
So if you need help cleansing a specific way, I can do it.
Would I have to be there?
You,
Yeah.
I mean, you can come.
No, I said have to
like
be
if it
there.
was
No.
your house, you
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, so we prefer you're there just because the activity seems to ramp up and the spirits start to come out when you're there.
Also,
Because if we
it
walk
helps to
in,
have
we're
the
strict.
homeowner there too,
Mhm.
and to be
So you can
saying
see
like,
what we're
"This
going
is
on."
my house. You need to get out
Exactly.
to really establish their authority over the house."
And that way they can
This-
see what's
this
going
is
on.
My house. Just go away now,
Yeah.
please.
Because we don't want them to think we're like, I don't know, like putting a hex on a house or something, or we're just going around with like holy water and saying a prayer. We want them a part of it so that if they need to do it themselves in the future, they kind of know how to do it.
Sarah?
So we
tell-
work education wise.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Tell us about yourself, Sarah.
Well, so my name's Sarah Cook. I don't know why I said that so weird. I get really weird when I get on myself. So yeah, so Sarah Cook, and I am one of the co-founders of Hidden Realms Paranormal of Salt Lake City, and I'm also on Paranormal Girls with Mary,
Yes.
and then let's see, we both do that Earthbound Mystics together.
Yes.
So that's kind of, you can go there and ask questions and get answers sometimes.
Yeah, I like
Tarot
reading
reading,
all the stuff that
mediumship
people
stuff,
put on
yeah.
there, and the haunted Utah
A haunted
stories.
Utah.
Yes.
Yep. So I'm a moderator on that one as well.
The story, I love the stories and all that stuff. Like people have some serious stuff happening.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And the more trauma you have in your life, the easier it is for these things to attack you,
Really?
in my opinion.
Yes. Especially if you're not in a good mental space, they're gonna go after your biggest weakness.
What if you've never been in a good mental space? So then you'd be in a good mental space relatively to you before. So then you're on the level. Good mental
Well,
space.
you know, one of the things right now with like the Catholicism and the diocese and stuff, I was reading the other day that for every diocese,
this is her light reading, folks.
for every diocese, there's supposed to be 2 exorcists to
Mhm.
that diocese, because it's gotten so rampant right now with people having issues that they've had to put out more exorcists.
I have heard that.
And
Yes.
they've also, there's a lot of psychiatrists even that are bringing in clergy into the, I don't want to, they're not necessarily psych units, I guess. I want to call it asylum, but they don't call it that anymore.
Give me a minute. So you have a bad weekend and you end up going to the hospital, and in walks a padre throwing water
Well,
at you.
No, I mean, they have them come in. Unfortunately, I was put in there for insomnia, so I kind of know the drill now, but they do have like clergy that comes in to talk to you, but there's a
a
belief
counselor,
now-
not
Yeah.
coming in doing
No,
the.
yeah, they don't automatically come in going, the beast of the devils, and that's not, but they'll come in and talk to you, and there's certain things where they can be like, yes, they're presenting like a schizophrenic, but there's
But,
something
yeah.
more here, and they kind of have to
I mean, if nothing
Split
else,
the 2 up.
eliminate that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so there's even a movement now where psychiatrists are even saying, like, we need to make this a part of, and especially because spirituality is a very big part of your, inner self that needs to be healthy and things like that. And whether you believe in something or don't believe in something, that's still your spirituality. And so trying to make that a part of it's a very big deal for them right now. But
Oh.
it's hard to get people to do that when they don't want to even discuss that stuff because, we don't all
Yeah.
believe in it.
I would all levels of freaking out. All levels. One, there's something crouching by my tent.
I mean,
It's their tent
Yeah.
now. First of all,
Well, yeah.
I
So
will
I was going to show
surrender
you. So
to
this
yes.
is,
So I've got the picture.
yeah. So this is September. Where is it?
I've just got to
Well,
set it up on here
yeah.
real quick. So that's in September.
Yeah, it was in
Yes.
September, and Mary goes, "There's like a little girl by your tent
yeah.
by
we're-
Ryan's
Mhm.
truck."
Uh,
Yeah. And so we took I was just taking a photo because my mom's like, I want to see what your tent's like because I've never
Yeah.
been camping with you. Which, it's
You
a
go
night.
all out.
I do. Well, I like to be comfortable.
I know, but you have like 20 pillows.
I get
and
very
10
cold.
blankets.
it's really not pulling it up right now.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, I will figure out how to get it pulled up. I think I can find it through your Facebook.
Well, if you go, yeah, it is on my Facebook, I believe.
But you'd have to scroll like
So you're
way
talking
down.
right there. Yeah. So if you scroll in, I don't know if you can see it. There's a little girl with like bangs.
a little girl,
So if you
even.
go-
Yeah.
Right there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So right there on the left, there's nothing on that side.
Yeah, it's right. You see a face in there.
Yeah.
I saw that when you guys
Mhm.
posted it on Facebook,
Uh-huh.
and I quickly went right past it. I'm not gonna lie.
And you still slept in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You still slept in there, even though there is a.
I mean, if they're not harming you,
Yeah, I
then
mean,
Who's this right here?
What if they opt to go home with you?
Anything there?
What if,
Usually
I see
it-
a pair of legs and arms right there.
Let me see. Usually at Merker, if you just say don't come home with me, they don't.
The spirits on Mercury are pretty good at staying there.
all right, so the picture's not pulling up.
No, I don't really see anything.
Let me
Creepy.
break this down for you folks. So there's a tent. It's a big tent, like an 8
Oh, here I
person
can
number.
do this probably.
Put it up to the camera,
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay, so here we go. Where's the tent?
Okay. Right there. There's a little face in the tent. And they slept in that thing afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, good grief. No. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Let's knock out a couple of weird news stories and then let's have a
Yeah.
show and tell what they got.
Yes.
They brought some good stuff.
Yeah, they've got some stuff, and we're going to talk about a couple of their haunts. But right now, I've got something. In Hawaii, there was a. This come out in January. I think it was on January 5th. There was a blue UFO sighted over Oahu, and they've actually got it on video.
Oh wow.
And it was some lady out there who was what was I gonna say? Here, let me get this set up. There's some lady out there was with her family and recorded it. So we will do a quick play. We'll see what kind of advertisement we get at the beginning of this, because there always seems to be one of those.
Something is in the sky.
See, look at that.
What is that?
Perplexed residents on the Leeward Coast searching for answers
Look,
after a
it-
little
it's
unidentified
long
flying
and
object
stringy and
plunged into
thin.
the ocean.
It's almost like a
Hava Beach
triangle
Park.
shape.
There are multiple videos of what appears
Triangle
to be
or
a glowing oblong
like one of those
mass both in the
Japanese
sky and a bend in
festival
the water.
dragons.
Honolulu police notified aviation
But you know,
officials
it's
about
just
the bizarre
so
sighting,
hard
but as
though
Allison
when you
Blair
have all
reports,
those like
it
bases
remains
out there to really know
Mhm.
if they don't have something secret going on. That's
Exactly.
the only thing.
Especially with the new Space Force. So
Yes, yes.
Elon, he's lobbing things into
Oh,
the sky
yes.
all over the
He
place.
could be.
he is.
He could be.
But
Yeah,
doesn't he do that in Florida?
All over the place.
he could do it anywhere. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Elon.
Yeah.
He's international. He's,
Yeah.
Some people believe that he actually is an alien.
yeah. Well, we've got him as the alien, and then old Zuck is the android. You gotta,
Mhm.
we're covering our bases with that. Look at that thing. It looks like it could be the sheen off of the edge of a saucer, though. Like right on
The
the
way
edge.
it moves is unnatural, though.
Well, look at that. So yeah, Oahu. That was beginning of this year. A
Wow.
blue UFO was sighted. That was exciting. And that was for James.
Well, James, you're gonna love this one.
Uh-oh.
Except it's not really an alien, just a guy who wants to be. So I'm gonna talk to you about
Wow. That
rhinotomy.
looks like that would just dry your mouth out. Like, so I just had nasal surgery Friday because I had a deviated septum and stuff. And for 2 or 3 days, I couldn't breathe out of my nose. I'm just thinking that like just looks so uncomfortable as far as dry mouth goes.
So he had a rhinotomy. His name's Anthony Lofredo, and he's covered himself in mostly opaque black tattooing, with some symbolism and some space left open. But he's done a ton of piercings, and he's undertaken some
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
extreme.
drastic.
Yeah.
body modifications.
And it looks like too, like he had the little
Mhm.
balls implanted under
Yeah.
his forehead. Oh gosh, it just makes me hurt thinking about that.
So he's 32 years old, and he's a Frenchman, and he had
That's like that French teacher that tattooed his eyes black.
he had what they call a rhinotomy. The procedure was historically used as a
Tell me
form
when
of
to put the
judicial
picture up.
punishment and is banned in many countries, but Anthony seemed delighted with the result. He shared it with his
I got a question.
178,000 Instagram followers.
So he goes into his doctor and he says, "Doc, this is what I want done." And the doc goes through his modern medical books and can't find it and says, "Oh, yeah." So he's got to dig into the old dusty 14th century punishment crap and open it up and, oh, here's how you do it here.
Yeah, most of the time they have to go to a plastic surgeon, and they have to go through multiple of them in order to find one that would actually do it. And even the one that'll actually do it, make sure they go through like some sort of evaluation to make
there's a
sure
lot
they
of psych and
actually,
stuff.
to make sure that they actually know what they're doing and what they want. And even then, it's expensive to do.
So,
So where was the exorcist on this guy's deal? He should have drowned in holy water before he got this shit done.
You know, my thing is
So-
it may be fun in the moment? What's gonna happen when because he's 32, right? So he's
Yeah.
at 32. What's gonna happen when he's in his 60s or 70s,
How's it
or
gonna look?
his grandkids want to come over, but their friends and parents
So
are too afraid to
you're
have them?
You're
thinking that
that he's going to
there's
procreate.
gonna be
You know, there's a
grandkids?
weirdo for everybody. I found mine. I'm sure he could find his. I'm not his, but there's probably somebody out there.
Man,
So aside
I hope
from
that this lady reads Braille love letters well.
aside from his rhinotomy, he also had his upper lip surgically
Yeah,
removed.
I'm flashing the picture up now, and it's a joyous one,
Now
yes, they
he
are.
does explain that
JR.
he's now struggling to speak
and
from the upper lip removal.
oh, serious.
But if you scroll down, you can see his before and after, and it is shocking. It's,
Oh, and
Okay.
he was really kind of good looking.
he
for
was a
Frenchman.
handsome guy.
There's the after. I like how his mustache is now
Oh.
growing down into his
Into
it's
his teeth.
brushing
Yes.
his face, and he's got the bumps on his cheekbones and along his forehead.
And if you keep going down, you can see the
And-
rest of his
Yeah.
body tattooing. It
So he's
is-
trying to look like that thing.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah, dead on, buddy. Hit it right on the mark. Knocked it out of the park.
Now,
how much
he-
money did he spend?
He explains that from a very young age that he's been passionate about mutations and transformations of the human body. And he says that it has become normal, even unconscious, to constantly think about my plans for the next few months as he continues on. I don't know what else he can get done, but he's
Well,
had...
you know, I'm guessing if
Scroll
you're
down
an
a little more.
alien is probably
That's-
not going to have a penis at some point involved.
Some people will actually take out some of the muscles in their cheek so that the cheekbones so like their cheeks sink in, so their cheekbones are like sharper. Or
Like
they'll even
sunken
put
in like a
implants.
dead
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, or they'll even put
Like that
implants in.
Maleficent kind of
Mhm.
look. Like that would
Yeah.
actually be kind of cool. I wish I had cheekbones like that.
There's always that option.
And he's calling his Instagram the Black Alien Project. So you can follow along if you know, you want to see where this guy ends up.
JR asked, "Is that Jeffrey?"
No,
Who's Jeffrey?
we can talk about it later.
That poor cat. He's got a poor
That's a whole
cat.
other story.
Actually, the cat's kind of cute. I like
The
the
cat is dang cute, but that poor cat, like, just sitting there thinking, how did I get the
You
weird
don't
one?
look like my master, but
know.
you sure smell like
Like,
him.
Imagine how the cat felt every single time he'd come home from a surgery and would look different.
I'll bet he
I mean,
whistles when he breathes.
My cat freaked out when I came home with a feeding tube. He was like, "Who are you?
Oh,
What is
yeah.
going on?"
Roxy, hair colors. Nope, she's just
Yeah.
like,
Oh.
Especially the nose removal. Like that's
that's
Yeah.
really a huge...
I want
That's
to know
a
what
leap.
his driver's license looks like.
Oh.
And what does his license info say? I kind of want to know.
species.
I hope he's not driving. Well, it was a Frenchman that did tattooed his eyes black.
He
So
was a
he
teacher.
was a kindergarten teacher or preschool.
Yep.
And so they're like, you're scaring the kids. You can't teach anymore. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, woe is me. I went and made myself weird. So now they don't want me to scare their kids.
Discrimination.
Yeah, well, that's what I said earlier. Like the kids are gonna be scared come later in life.
Oh,
Right
Yeah.
now, and he may not care about
Well,
it right
where
now,
does this
but
guy work? That was my first question.
My
Instagram.
guess is he probably has enough money that he could
Yeah.
just do what he wants and says it's a job because he doesn't have to have a care in the
Yeah.
world. He's not thinking about things that normal people think about
Yeah,
doing
he
that.
probably makes enough money for right now, living off of like Instagram. He might have, for all we know, he could have an OnlyFans
Yeah.
and like make money off of there.
It's like, I mean, if you
I
didn't
don't
have
even
to
wanna
care
think
about
about
what
it.
your new paycheck would be,
Come to my
you really didn't
OnlyFans.
do anything.
Oh.
He takes a drink and it falls out. Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. Now, I never thought I'd say this. Will you tell us about your latest ghost hunt for a palate cleanser, ladies?
Yes.
So where are we hunting at lately? What we got going on?
Well, I last did a hotel in Ogden, actually, the other night.
Now Ogden is a haunted damn place.
Yes, and it was actually right like a block away from 25th Street.
Okay. And
And we go there, and we get to the room, start getting everything set up, all the cameras, all the equipment, and we start to do something called, I believe it's the SD method, where what you do is you put on a blindfold and you have headphones on that have like a spirit box playing, so only you can hear it, and you turn it up so loud that you can't hear anything, and they start asking questions and you have to answer by what you hear on the spirit
so
box.
you become kind of a
Conduit.
medium.
So I went first, and immediately we had someone named Jeffrey, who apparently died in 1941. No, 1971, and he was 41 years old, and he jumped off the building. We couldn't figure out if it was a suicide or if it was murder because there's a lot of mixed messages. But he was very gay, and he was going after a male on our team. Like, he slapped his butt a couple of times, kept talking about
So
him
he was sexually harassing a team member.
the whole night, and it's the most hilarious video footage you will ever see.
Yeah.
You can go to like the our Facebook page, our Facebook group, Haunted Utah Paranormal Experiences and Stories, and you can watch it. And I'm sitting in the closet, I can't hear anything, and I'm just answering. And this spirit Jeffrey is just going crazy for him. And he actually went home with that team member.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's been harassing him in his
JR.
bed.
I'm
Yeah.
saying your name, JR. And it's really funny because he has the worst
still
luck.
Yes.
He just has the worst luck with
He
ghosts.
changed it, and the ghost is at his house now?
Yeah, he thinks so.
Oh, the power of Christ compels you.
But you
Because,
know,
like-
I have to say, Mary and I know some of more of the other girls, we've all been sexually harassed by spirits, and we have never through so much of a fit as
Yeah.
JR.
I mean, I've
Sorry,
had
JR. Just gotta
I've
say,
had
it's kind of
some
entertaining
nanny
from a
at
girl's
a,
point of
like,
view.
where like upstairs where the kids would sleep. I've had some nanny come up to me, like, touch my boobs.
A ghost nanny?
And I'm like, okay. And she's like, put your arms out and touch my boobs.
You're leading that out wrong. A ghost,
Mm-hmm.
not just a nanny.
A ghost.
And she's telling you to
To touch
touch her
her boobs.
chest.
Mm-hmm.
And your answer was okay.
Yeah.
Not mind your damn manners. I'm not here for that.
I did it. I was like, okay, what do I
Could
do?
you
So I
feel,
put my
did you
arms
go
out.
right through him?
So I put my arms out in the hallway, and they got the SLS camera out. And there was a figure right there, and I definitely felt a mass rub against my hands.
So
I'm going to put that on the list of no.
yes.
I'm going to keep a list of no's.
It's not so bad though. Like when you're on the
Yeah.
hunt. What's bad is like when you're trying to sleep and you have that one ghost. It's like,
Pull the
Hey.
pull the mic into you a little
yeah.
bit.
It's like, hey, how are you doing? I see you're in my hotel room. Like, let's get it on. And you're like, no, I'm
Or-
good.
What?
Mm-hmm.
You have ghosts, like pervert ghosts, like
Yeah, we've had
Yeah.
it
dirty, dirty pervert
Mhm.
ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
And then they follow you home.
Yeah.
And then they now live with you.
And then you have some ladies that get their pirate ghost to follow them home, and then they marry them but divorce them.
Well, that was
because
that
they-
Irish lady. Yeah, we talked to
Yeah.
her. Hey, he was abusive. I mean, I understand why she divorced him.
I do too.
I mean, at my house, I'm constantly woken up in the middle of the night by something knocking on my window. Because with 3 mediums in one house, our house is protected. They can't come in our house, but they sure will knock on the windows and walk up and down our driveways, making noise. And I'm like, I'm just trying to sleep. Like, don't bother me.
Oh my god.
When my mom and I, after my heart surgery, she kind of was like, I don't know if like Sarah's just making this up. So we went to this castle in Scotland. I think it was the Tulloch Castle. And I was like, I just couldn't sleep all night. This girl, Elizabeth, just all night long. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the next day, they don't tell you anything about the haunting at this place. And the next day we go on the tour and they're like, our resident girl ghost, Elizabeth. And my mom's like, oh. So, I mean, you know, it just happens. You're just used to
Yeah.
it.
So, JR, how is life with Jeffrey? Seriously,
Forget
He
it.
I
sent
would.
us messages in the group chat. And he's like, Jeffrey won't leave me alone. Jeffrey slapped my butt this morning when I woke up and got out of bed.
So what does it feel like when a ghost slaps your butt?
You feel it.
Yeah, you feel
Nobody's
it.
there, but you feel it.
Like an actual spank, like the sting of a spank.
Sometimes it's a little bit lighter for me.
Yeah.
I remember at my grandma's house, I woke up one night. I was a teen and I was
Yeah.
apparently doing something wrong. And my great grandmother was there, like hovering, but I had woken up because she like slapped me against the head.
You guys so totally just blow right past the big shit. Okay,
And
great.
I felt that one. I felt
Hold
it. I
the-
like
hold
kicked
the-
the wall. 'Cause
hold the phone.
Yeah.
great grandma who has passed on was
Yes.
just there hovering. We're just
Yeah.
gonna breeze right through that part. I mean, we gotta. You guys are putting the puzzle together before we've opened the box of the puzzle.
But see, for us, we just get used to it.
Yeah, it's
a
just
way
our
of life
norm.
now.
Oh
All
my
right.
gosh.
So
Okay.
great grandma's hovering above you when you're a teenager.
Well, like I was asleep and she slapped me on the head and it woke me up. It scared me. I kicked the wall. And when I turned around to look to see who hit me, she was like there.
So Carrie wants to know, how long do these ghosts stay with you when they follow you home? First of all, I am unnerved to be followed home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you keep them from following you home? And then how long do they stay with you?
They can stay with you forever if you don't get rid of
No,
them.
Yeah, they
wrong answer.
They're like, wait, when you die, they're like, I've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
Now,
I came to bring you home.
can they do the dishes and chores and such?
No.
Actually, my mom had a friend at St. Mark's where she was working that had a ghost spirit that would feed her dog while she was at work.
What?
Yeah,
Okay,
there
now-
would be dog food
okay.
would get into the dish and they'd feed and water the, take care of the
I'm
dog.
feeling
I
that.
mean,
I can hang with one like coming over when I'm
But
gone.
change your oil.
Kind
The
of a maid.
Shining, when Stephen King, that whole book started
Yeah.
because they went to dinner. They only had like 5 minutes to get there before they closed down. So they just left their stuff and went down to dinner. And when they came home, when they came up to their room, everything was put away and they called and they said, oh, hey, thank you for sending somebody up here. Like, this is the nicest gesture you guys could have done. And they're like, we didn't send anybody to your room, but there was a ghost. There's a dead maid that haunts that room. So,
How pissed would
they
you
may
be?
not want to like clean your whole house, but there's some stuff they may do.
Hey, I'm down with just every little bit. How pissed would you be if you go to a hotel and them sons of bitches give you the haunted room?
And they don't tell you.
Oh, just breeze right
I
through.
had that in the hospital recently.
Yeah,
They gave me the haunted room. And I was in the room with the doctor and something got thrown and the door got slammed open. And he was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go. And he walked out. And then I was talking to the nurses. And
So
I'm
the
like, "Do you
doctor's
know?"
doing that, talking around the edge of the door as he closes.
Yeah, seriously. And I asked the nurses, I was like, has anyone ever complained of activity here? And she goes, oh, yeah, that room, we get complaints every single time someone stays here.
Do you think that the nature of what you do, like the universe is responding, and that's why you ended up in that room?
Probably.
No, her and her mom, they just went to the hot springs. Lava
Yeah, Lava
Springs?
Hot Springs.
And she
just for
texted me. She's
fun.
like, Sarah,
Tons of
I
of
didn't
things
request
there.
this, but we got a
Hold on.
haunted
Let
room."
me guess. You guys are in the hot pool. You're over here. Mom's over there. Nothing there but bubbles.
Well, we
Well, I
just,
mean, it wasn't in the pool. It was in the room, but
yeah, we were just
in there.
we're just gonna go have some fun for a night, go to the hot springs, relax a little bit. And we get there, and the room's haunted. I'll text Sarah, and I'm like, Sarah, I'm having to there's this spirit that keeps bothering us. He's moving things, showing himself, being creepy in the
What do you
bathroom.
mean showing himself?
Like we can
Was
see
he,
him
flashing
standing
like
there.
this?
Yeah.
So you got the dirty ghost with the fedora hat and the
And
overcoat
I'm
on.
glad I had this kit in the car because when we went to sleep, we're like,
Did you
okay,
exercise the hot springs?
no, we were like, we don't want to do all this. We want to go to sleep. So we protected the room we were in.
So you
so
threaten
that
him. You pull out the shit and you're like, you want a piece of this? Put it away.
I'd
It
imagine
was
that
more like,
town
this is
is
your
full
space,
of
this is our
activity.
space.
Mhm.
Like, you're not coming over here tonight until we wake up in the morning.
I'd like to
type
take
thing.
you ladies to Manitou Springs.
Well, you know what? I'm up for any vacation.
Manitou
Seriously.
Springs is kind of like a hippie Wiccan town in Colorado.
Fun. That's
Yeah.
Mary's favorite place.
Like there's a lot of pentagrams on people's house doors. It's a
Pentagrams are for protection.
so okay, lead in. She broke it down. All right.
Okay.
JR says he wants you to take him too.
Okay, yeah, we should do a road trip to Manitou Springs.
I will warn you, JR is a character.
Yes.
He's
JR
hilarious. He is a hyper little man. Just well, he's not
But he's
little, but
hilarious. He makes me
he's-
laugh.
you go into a place with him. I've been on one investigation with him, and I was like, I cannot keep up with JR, and I'm pretty hyper.
He's bringing the gentleman home.
We're hoping
Yes.
we're hoping to be recording this Halloween from Salem.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's where Nate's been wanting to go this next year.
Mhm.
That's where we want to go is to
We want to
Salem.
be there for the
But it's
festivals.
So crowded though.
Mhm.
That's
we
the
want
only
to
thing.
we want to find some local maybe ghost hunters to show us where I can send Betsy.
Boston is interesting. You'll be walking along, there's a skyscraper, then there's a 200-year-old cemetery. You're walking along, a skyscraper, and another cemetery. They're just
Oh,
they're
that's
just
wild.
stuck in between places.
So
It's an
Mary's-
interesting place.
Mary's got a
Ooh.
ghost kit right here in front of her. She
Yes.
carries it with her everywhere she goes.
So this just sits in my car, and it's in case of emergency type thing. It has
And
everything
it
you
looks-
could ever need. Minus, I left the holy water in
Let's
my car.
push it right about there for a
Okay.
second. Just so it looks like if you were to see it, you'd think, "Oh, that's a young lady's makeup kit."
Yep, that's what it was.
It probably
Ooh,
has
she's
like
fancy.
Yes.
like a little cheek brush and other things that they have in makeup kits. And
Other things.
He's struggling and
there's a pencil.
Make yourself look natural like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, that's called Photoshop. But anyway, so open it up. Let's
Okay.
see what do we got in. If the listeners at home were inclined to, so it's a pink metal box
Yes.
that has like a double opening gate. So if
Okay.
you were inclined at home to build yourself a ghost survival kit,
I'm reading some of the stuff in there. I'm going to be
So-
freaking out.
Okay, so we also have holy water in my car that was taken from the Jordan River, and it has salt from the Dead Sea inside of it. So that's not in
and
here.
now how do you make holy water?
There
And can you
is
put it in a
way
super soaker?
I do have how to do it, and yes, you could.
Water balloons?
But the other thing is too is you can actually put it together and just go to the church and just say, "Hey, I have this water. Would you mind blessing it?" And
And they'll bless your water.
Yes.
So I could walk in there, right?
yeah.
Looking like Rambo, like
Pull up in your 50-gallon drum in the
a 7-year-old Rambo, water balloon grenades hanging off of me, super soaker, got a little mini one on the hip. Got to have a secondary weapon. Walk in there and they just stand there while they bless it, and then walk
Okay,
out.
I'm thinking more of like Lost Boys, but you go
Yeah.
with that. The Frog Brothers again. Here we go.
I haven't seen that show in a long
Oh
time.
my gosh, that was such a good movie. And the sequel has Donald Sutherland's brother plays the head vampire. It's kind of interesting to me.
Lost Boys was great.
Oh my gosh, right?
How does that
There's like 3
water
of them.
taste?
So I made
Salty.
him drink it the other day. I didn't tell him.
JR
didn't tell
just
him-
says don't drink it.
I didn't tell him there was salt from the Dead Sea inside of it as well, and he drank it.
You're like
And he,
you're
like,
like a little
died.
sister.
Sinister.
But I made you drink the one I made and you spit it out.
Yeah, but like this one was extra salty.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Basically, so you have to like cleanse the water, pray over the water. Sorry. Cleanse the salt, pray over the salt, and then you like put the salt into the water with the cross and you do more prayers on it and put that energy in it to make it holy. But it's really not called holy. Like it is holy, it's blessed water, but it really does take as far as like Catholicism goes, you would have to have a priest actually do
Mhm.
a prayer over it.
So I just can't lay down and go Om Num Chiba, Om Num Chiba, Om Num Chiba.
You
No,
could.
not like in Supernatural.
I just don't think it
no.
would be effective.
But I really, honestly, I mean, this is just my opinion, and please don't take this to heart, but I think anybody that puts the intention in there, and if you don't have a priest readily
Mhm.
available, I think you could still make it
Yeah.
just as good as
It's all about
if
intention.
you couldn't find the one priest living in
I'm
the
telling
world.
you, for those ghosts, I might be packing holy urine. in a super soaker and water balloons.
Nasty.
All right, so let's go through
Okay.
this.
Let's see what we
start
got.
from the top. So I do have some white sage and lavender. Now, normally people don't like using white sage because it's part of a closed practice. The thing is, mine
Part of a what?
a closed practice.
Okay, break that
But
down.
so basically, that means is unless you were invited into it or were born into it, you're not supposed to use it. Now,
Oh.
mine was given to me by a Native American shaman who picked it and made it, so it is acceptable to use
Okay.
just because it was gifted. Let's see, I've got a Sharpie in here because you never know when you're gonna need to write something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got a whole bunch of different candles. So I've got white, which is good for anything, red, which is good for binding in case we need to like bind a spirit to like a crystal or something.
Black. I see black.
Yeah,
When
we
you
got
bind
black.
someone to something, what does that
Bind-
mean?
So
Like you stick them to it? It's like a glue candle?
when we force a spirit into a crystal and bind them to it so they can't escape. So we
What-
can
It's like
remove it from the house.
What can you bind them to?
How long are they bound?
Anything really?
To anything?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
You
an
bind them
old,
to a rock.
like
It's
the
just
old
like
toilet
I've done it to
paper,
a battery
It's like
before.
putting a chain on them and attaching it
Like-
to that
Yeah.
thing.
like to an old toilet paper crust. You know, the inside tube.
I
you know, you
mean,
could really.
until it disintegrates, probably.
Mhm.
But
So how long are they bound?
It really just depends on what your intention makes it.
Mhm.
So sometimes you can be like they're bound for this specific amount of time. Sometimes it's forever. It really
Can
just
you
depends on how much
imagine?
energy they put into actually getting out of the prison.
Okay. And then you've got a black one. Tell
Yes,
us
So-
I've
about
got
that.
a black handle, which is good for protection, but it's also good for darker stuff like binding or I mainly use it for protection.
like what other darker stuff?
Think like hexes
Like you could curse people
Mhm.
with the black candle.
and a couple other things.
Ooh,
Yes.
you should tell him your ED spell.
Which one?
The
There's-
pickle in the jar.
There's an ED spell.
Oh no.
Did you do it to someone?
You know,
No,
it's
I
just
haven't.
so that happens for life.
There's one to do that to someone
Mm-hmm.
for life.
Yep.
Not to repair it.
Mary, have I told you how lovely you look?
And when I met Sarah's mom for the first time, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, my mom's like, oh, I could have used this a long time ago. My mom's
Yeah.
a cracker. I love her.
Okay, what else you got in there?
Okay. So I also have some cedar, which is good for protection, purifying, and it's really good for anti-stress and anxiety, making a nice calming environment with like clear energy. So I have that just in case. I have Palo Santo, which is good for bringing in positive energy. The thing with Palo Santo, it's not really a good stick unless it falls from the tree naturally. That's how you know it's ready to be used. Got a lighter. You always
Well,
need
how
a
you
lighter.
gonna light the stuff
Yeah.
without your lighter? I mean, how you gonna
But
light the
sometimes,
erectile
even if you
dysfunction
have all the
candle?
right,
Mhm.
what do you call it, atmosphere, I guess, like there's not too much
Yeah.
humidity or wind, you still can't get that stuff to light.
Yeah.
So when you do the ED curse, do they have to light a light blue candle to get rid of it?
They can,
Like the blue pill.
depending on how you do it, they can't get rid of it. They're that way
You're-
for life.
Who is the evil bastard who thought of that?
I don't know. I just have it in the back of my mind. Just
Did you dream it up yourself, or
No.
did you learn it from someone?
I learned it from someone. So when I get into a relationship, they better be careful.
Very
mess with
single,
me.
gentlemen
And ladies.
and
And
ladies. Well, you can't ED a lady.
But what do you do
No.
instead of a pickle? Do you use a taco?
Oh, jeez.
No.
An evil taco spell.
See, with women, you'd probably more like to mess with their emotions.
Oh,
More
okay.
than in a
We've gone
physical
evil.
way.
Go to the good side of your
We've got
witchcraft.
Okay. So, first I have this little concoction. It's got a couple different herbs. It's got black salt, it's got rosemary, it's got some devil's claw root. And what we use this for is when we're locking mirrors so that spirits can't use it as a portal to come in, we'll draw an X or a sigil on the mirror and it'll lock it.
With that stuff there.
Mhm.
Can I
Did
smell it?
Yeah.
And this has devil's claw root.
And it's got rosemary,
Where? Okay.
black salt.
See, here's my
lavender.
issue with witchcraft. Where do I find devil's claw root
You can
or
go to stores.
Yeah.
eye
and
of
buy it.
newt?
So eye of newt is not actually eye of newt.
That actually smells like
It's actually,
it'd
I
be
believe,
a,
mustard seed.
this smells like it'd I mean, you can smell the rosemary in there. Is there something that
Clove.
uses rosemary and thyme at the same time?
Does that devil's claw root smell like cloves?
No, there's cloves in there as well.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say. I
So
smell the
what
cloves.
is devil's claw root and where do they?
So it's the root on a plant, and they harvest it normally in the desert.
Uh-huh.
And then you can just go to like stores and buy it.
And then what is the little sigil on the top?
So this is a sigil that I made, and it stands for cleansed of all negative energy.
Cleansed of all negative energy. So let's
And
see.
there's some people I'd like to give that to.
Right. I don't know which way's up, so I'll slowly turn it. And so it looks kind of like a song note with a flower,
Ish.
doesn't it? Doesn't it kind of like a song note on a with a
I mean, kind of.
and a 3-petal flower?
There's a long process to making sigils.
Really?
hmm
Now I've heard about sigil magic. When I studied up on the Led Zeppelin, they did a lot of that stuff.
So the easiest way to describe making a sigil is you write the statement, and it has to be like already in the past, like this has happened. You eliminate all the vowels, and then there's numbers that line up to the letters that are left in the alphabet. And you take those numbers, it's like 1 through 9, and then you put the 1 through 9 in a circle, and then you just like draw it out.
Well, that's cool.
Huh.
That's a lot easier. Like
Next
the way
class-
I learned to do it was you took the letters and then like if it's an H, then you would make one line and then
Yeah.
a line like
There's
this.
different
and
ways to
then-
do it. That's just
yeah.
the way I do it that I find effective. So then there's salt. You always need salt.
That doesn't matter.
Now
what
does
kind of
salt
No,
does
this
salt stop ghosts?
specifically.
Does salt what?
Does salt stop ghosts?
Oh.
It can help.
If it
prevent
does, you're safe.
energies.
I'm
Yeah.
golden if it does.
It's I like when I don't feel really safe, especially like in my bedroom and stuff, I will put salt around my
Yeah.
bed. Just to kind of make a little barrier.
Yes.
So will it stop ghosts?
it can't
it's-
stop them
yeah.
fully.
Yeah, it doesn't
But,
stop
yeah.
anything fully, but it's kind of like putting a little
Like
circle of protection
Mhm.
around you.
so, I specifically
Like in Hocus Pocus, you know.
this salt I got from the salt flats myself.
Mhm.
You can go to the store and just get salt. That's just what this one is.
Or I can just like
Go to
fill
work,
my
shake
pocket
off.
at work, you know, come home, you know,
So
breathe.
this little jar has all the ingredients you would need to bind a spirit in a jar.
Oh shit!
Everything in there at once.
and it's so pretty the way she's got
It,
it all.
now
Yeah.
that is beautiful. You got peppercorn,
Got peppercorn, chili
red,
flakes,
yeah, red.
rosemary, cloves, salt.
And you would bind that to that jar?
What I would do is I'd bind the spirit to a crystal, and then I'd put all those ingredients, which are like classic hex ingredients, and I'd put it in the jar. So even if the spirit got out of the crystal,
It
it
would
would
still
be
be.
weakened because of all those ingredients.
Now, if you bind a spirit to something, is there some things that are stronger to bind it to than others?
No, not really. It's really about preference. I've had to bind
Just
a spirit
whatever you want.
to a old dead battery.
Yeah, I remember you guys telling us that
Mm-hmm.
story. That was like a demon
I mean,
monster.
it's,
Yeah.
it's a lot like cooking. It's like, okay, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have milk, but I have sour cream. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna put
you
the
can
sour cream
substitute
instead.
it,
It's
yeah.
just, you know.
This actually looks beautiful too.
Mhm.
Just wait till you look at, I believe it's this
That
one.
looks beautiful also.
So what's that one for?
Where
So-
does one get such awesome little jars too?
Dollar
Oh,
store. You
she
can
just
get
bought
a
me a
pack
bunch
of
and I'm so
6 from the
excited.
dollar store.
She what?
She bought me a bunch, and I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
Just at the dollar store.
can
So
get- yeah.
you can punish the demons on a budget.
So that
Oh,
one
this
is
is an
good
old
for
flower.
self-love and anxiety. So it's
Oh.
got rose,
So how do you use this?
lavender. Normally what I would do is I'd put it in a little pouch and put it underneath their pillow.
Oh,
Or I'd put it
okay.
somewhere they can see it every day, like hang it on the mirror in their bathroom.
Oh.
Or
Yeah.
you
But
can even
just
like put it in your
because
bathtub.
you have something like that though, or somebody gives you something like that, you still have to be the one to,
You have to put in the work.
to
Yes.
put in the work.
Mhm.
Like
So
just
there's-
because it's sitting there doesn't mean it's gonna make
Exactly.
it do anything.
And there's also intent that when Mary makes it, that
Exactly, yes.
that you're praying that it's not an ED one. Please don't be an ED one.
What does the ED one look like?
Jared's going to need a diagram. He's going to hang it up so he'll never
So,
forget.
You take like a pickle, the largest, biggest pickle
The
you can
nastiest
find.
one, yeah.
you-
Classic.
and you
Does it have to
cover
be
it-
kosher?
It's the biggest one you can
Probably
find.
depends on if he's circumcised or not.
You cover it
God.
in hot sauce, and you stick rusty nails everywhere throughout the pickle. And then you
How do
put,
you
like,
point it at someone, or is it just random? Some poor
You-
dude's cruising
then
down
Like
the
a voodoo
street,
doll.
and it shoots out, and then whack.
And
Next
then
thing you know,
take a picture of them and you put it inside the pickle, and then you take the pickle and put it in a jar with like lemon juice, like any nasty thing you can find, even your urine you can put in it.
okay, we're good. We don't need to continue that story. We don't want ideas. You don't want to put this out in the world.
You can find it like on Pinterest.
Oh, Pinterest.
Pinterest has the witchy
Yeah.
dick breaking pickle spell.
I'm so disappointed. I only thought they had recipes.
I mean, but it's
Basically,
like
if
a
you go to a
recipe.
girl's house and you see
It
that
is a
sitting on the deck like
recipe.
it's scenty, you need to run.
You need to be very nice before you run. too.
Exactly.
And my name is.
Okay, so this container right here has like essential oils. It has red ribbon, in case we need to bind. And then it's got like little crystals, so I don't have to
So
use
there's
big,
a
huge
whole
ones.
binding thing that goes on. So you tie ribbon around it. You've got a binding
Yes.
jar. Do you like pour the binding jar out around the binding agent?
So you bind the spirit to the crystal. I normally do it through astral projection, is how I do it. And then
Uh-huh.
I tie the red ribbon around it to signify binding, just so it helps focus my intention as I'm doing it. And then I'd put the crystal inside the jar with all those hex ingredients.
Uh-huh.
And then I would close the close the jar with a sigil. And then along with the candle, I normally do a red candle to signify binding, and then a black on top of it. And then I would take the jar to the salt flats and bury it in the salt flats. That's what I do.
Mm.
The salt flats is the place I go to.
Is
there
the
a-
salt flats a landmine for
Sir,
bound spirits?
I know you trip
You-
over a rock, and you're going to release a spirit. And next thing, he's
If you
smacking
find
your
a jar
ass.
in the middle of the salt flats,
Do
don't
not
touch it.
open it.
Just
You know,
a walk away.
we found a spell jar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And she found a spell jar, and by the time we got to her, she had opened it up and spread it all over her house, and we were like, okay, we don't know nothing about this,
Exactly.
but we're guessing that was not a good idea.
Now we did hear after the fact that she heard a distinct walk in the house that was with
Yes.
the spirit, and she heard after the fact that the old lady that had died there had a bum leg.
Yes, and she
See-
found a ton of hair in the basement
Oh man, this was
they had buried, and she dug it up and brought it upstairs, and we were like, okay, so we don't think that was a good idea. And she found these
No.
big
I didn't say a
chunks-
word. I held the camera and went,
So
She found these big chunks of obsidian at the four
Okay.
corners of the house,
So
and
that's
she
good.
dug those up.
Yeah,
those
they're
are
not-
good.
Yeah, but she moved them. And
She dug them up and displayed them on
she
her.
put all the crap
on
in
her-
the jar in the display, like on her bookshelf when you first
Yes.
walk in.
We
So
were like,
look at all the stuff I
hair-
found.
I don't know enough about this,
the
but I
hair
do know that's not a
especially
good
you
idea.
shouldn't have touched, because a lot of time witches will take their hair or something to signify them, and they'll bury it on their property with some other ingredients, so that if someone tries to hex them, the energy will get confused and go onto that like chunk of hair, for example. So it won't hex them; it'll hex a part of them instead.
This
So what does a bald guy do?
There's hair other
You can use
places.
blood.
Public hair.
You can use your blood as well.
Jared, why is your face so shaved? Just
You
this
can
one
use
half.
blood, like that's like
Fingernails, eyelashes.
A friend of mine's mom used to
got
bury
dandruff?
her fingernails.
she had little funerals for
Uh-huh.
anyhow. Yeah, Dad told us that fun story. Okay, so then
So-
you've got a mixing bowl.
Yeah, it's just a bowl.
So it's
just in
kind of
case.
like your little mortar.
Kind of. I have one at home.
Yeah.
But this is just like a bowl to like mix stuff in. Yeah. Got some salt. And then this is black salt that I make. Almost every full
How do you
moon.
make black salt? Can I touch that?
Yes, you can actually like feel it and open it if you want. So the way I make it is
So-
you get salt, and then you take like incense ash or even charcoal to make it black, and then I like to put lavender and dragon's blood resin inside of it.
Okay,
and
dragon's blood. How do I find dragon's blood? One,
So
I hope dragons
Well,
are
I
real.
mean-
it's
but-
a tree sap that
Yeah.
actually dries to a resin, and then you can shave it down. So you can buy it.
So
at
it's
any,
not
witchy
dragon's
store.
blood.
No,
I
that's
mean,
just what
you
they
can,
call
you
it.
They
can
don't
just
sell
order
that
it
one at
on
Walmart?
Amazon.
No.
You can go and get it at, I know the Cat in the Cauldron has it.
Hmm Any witchy store
Yeah,
has it.
any.
Okay, dragon's blood. Now,
And sometimes you can even go so far as like, and I wouldn't necessarily do this, but there are people that would. But if you know that there was a soldier who was a very protective and good person, you can take some of their dirt from their ground where they are
we
laid
just read a story
and put it into
about
there.
that the
But
other
they
day.
weren't
There was
taking the dirt; they were taking them.
some
Oh, no.
Palo Mayombe practitioners were digging up old soldiers' bodies in Connecticut, I believe it
Oh,
was.
that's
And
it.
but
Recently.
that's a part. Yeah, this was a month ago. That's a part of their religion, Palo Mayombe. Interesting, crazy religion. Still practiced today.
So I've
and-
got only a couple more things left.
Now, that's how you defeat a Nagloshi, a skinwalker, is you dip your bullets in ash, in white ash.
Yeah.
And then supposedly then the bullet will hurt the
If you ever can really find it.
Yeah.
find the
The
Nagloshi.
skinwalker.
Oh no.
Skinwalker.
That's when the
I've been-
skinwalker has found you.
Yeah.
I've been chased off a cliff by either some skinwalker or some Slenderman creature before, so.
At
Oh.
Merker. You
Yeah.
talking about Merker? Yes, the same cemetery where we went
Up
down
at Merker? We've been up
Yeah.
there a few
When-
times and nothing chased me.
When
thank God.
I first went there, so it was Jesse was coming down to get me, and I was at where the road was, but they were at where the, what do you call that, the little walkway
Yeah.
path. And so I was up at the road, and there was somebody camping. I'm like, I don't know, and you could hear something going. "Arr." I was like, what's the growling? I don't know. It's kind of freaking me out. So I was like, I don't know, and I head back. And so Jesse said he kept going, Sarah, Sarah, and then somebody said like, I'm here, but there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And it really freaked him out.
Mm-mm-mm.
Then they're like, you can stay the night, and I was like, no, thank you.
So I only have a couple more things. So I have almost every incense stick you could want. If I can get it out. Hold on.
And what do you use these for?
Each incense is good for a specific purpose. So this one is dragon's blood so it's good for clearing out negative energy and bringing in positive energy at the same time. So I like to use it in place of sage.
We should note though that if people want to go and get this because they want to put the positive energy, if you have animals, get the dragon's breath. It's like essentially the same thing, but it's not toxic to animals
Yeah.
as dragon's blood is.
Yes.
So we wouldn't want to burn this in your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a guard dog.
Yeah.
So this one's
The cutest
lavender.
little guard dog ever.
So it's good for anti-anxiety and just making a calming environment.
Yeah, that's the stuff you put in a bathtub when you want to relax.
And then I've just got like everything in there. And then I've also got bay leaves, which you can write your intention on it and then burn it. Kind of like if you were to blow out your candles on a birthday cake. That's
You just write like you know,
like protection or bring money to me. And then you just burn the bay leaf.
can I borrow a couple
And the
of
more
those?
it crackles and pops, the better it is.
I need to borrow a couple of those in a lighter.
And then this
This is
last
a
thing
glass jar.
is just every single ingredient you could ever need for a spell, basically.
Okay. So this is all the stuff that are in your jars, just separate. You got coffee. There's a coffee spell?
Well, coffee can actually make spells work faster because it brings in that energy.
Yeah.
Caffeine, huh?
Yeah.
Dried rose petals, lavender, thyme, mugwort.
hmm It's good for psychic awareness and even can help you astral project.
Okay, what is mugwort? I don't you go to a train station? It's like
That's Hogwarts.
oh, that's Hogwarts.
You were close. You're a muggle.
So it's actually a weed. It's a type
Really?
of weed that people collect. And if you're pregnant, do not drink mugwort. Do not smoke it because it can cause miscarriages.
Oh yeah, yeah. We don't
So
want
stay away from it if you are pregnant.
the magic
Interesting.
box. Wow, that's that.
We also have an EVP that we want to play for
Yes.
everyone.
Yes,
But
yes.
Sarah, can you set up the experience first?
Okay.
Yeah.
Where were you what did you hear on site, so on
Well,
and so
let's see.
forth.
We had there was JR, Chris, the homeowner. I won't name his name.
You were in a
Mary-
home?
We were in a home. It was a residential case. They called us out. Mary, Jen, and myself. There were no children. There was no older woman, nothing like that. And the homeowner was having experiences. The house was built in the early 1900s. It was an old, what do you call that? Kind of like, you know how they didn't really have hotels, which you could go to somebody's house and like
A hostel.
room board kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so anyways, like we went in there and we were using, I had my regular recorder just to record what's going on. It's just a typical thing I do from start to finish. And then Jen and JR were doing questions using, what was that device?
It's called the Tascam, and it's just a EVP recorder, but you can listen in live time, and it has a really powerful microphone on it, so you can hear any little thing. You can hear footsteps on the floor above you. You can hear someone's stomach growl, and it sounds super loud.
Oh.
And so essentially, Jen was asking questions like, is anybody here? Is this and that? And there's a woman that comes on that's not any of us. And this is during the playback. There's a woman that comes on that's not any of us. And then there's a child that comes on. And I'm not going to tell you what they say or anything, but you can listen to that if you want.
And you didn't hear it, even though you were
And
using this super
I
high tech
have-
equipment.
Yeah, I have where I'm recording it on mine, and you don't hear it. But then when they do the playback, and I'm still recording on mine, we can hear it on the playback. And then as soon as they went to go and
So that's where you caught this, is you were still recording on your own.
I was because when they went to save that, it was completely gone. It had like been erased. But
Yeah.
I got it. It was like the weirdest thing. I don't know even how that happened, but so at least we do have the evidence that it was there.
Mm.
Okay, so this
right.
creeps me out.
Yes, we have heard
I've
it.
listened to lots of EVPs, and you're like, well, okay, yeah, I could see this one.
This
No,
one
ma'am.
doesn't sound like an EVP. This one sounds like it's two
No,
twins
ma'am.
down a hallway wearing a dress that matches the wallpaper.
Yes, red
All right.
rum.
Down here, guys. It was while we were talking, but there was a one person whisper. Let's go back and listen to what we've all been talking right now. But then there's a whisper on here that we just captured.
Oh, she budgets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down here, guys.
You can even hear everyone say, what the?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I stopped it before we got the full word out. But yeah,
Yes.
That laugh, let me tell you, I'm going to be
Yes.
dreaming
So
about
we
that.
had-
I can't.
yeah, we had devices where you could go over there and like push it. You know how like they used to have, what was it, Simon Says, and you could push the buttons.
Mhm.
And so this woman tells the little girl like, don't push buttons, and then she just starts laughing. The little
Don't touch
girl.
the buttons.
So a woman,
One more time.
a ghost
Yeah.
woman
Mm-hmm.
tells a ghost little girl to knock it off.
It was while we were talking, but there was a one person whisper. Let's go back and listen to what we've all been talking right now. But then there's a whisper on here that we just captured.
Oh, she budgets.
Yeah.
See, now
They are.
you can tell that you guys are like breaking it down, reviewing it, like, stop here, there was a whisper, and then you're all just like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
No. Nope.
Yeah, I would.
Did you show this to the
And
homeowner?
you didn't hear
Yeah,
this.
he was there.
He was in
there
the
with
room.
us.
You
Did he pack? Like, he walks over?
No,
and
he was like, "Oh, that's cool." He's like, I knew there was a little girl here.
Yeah, the little girl's like doing yoga with him the next day. Like
Mhm.
he's like, she was just here helping me do yoga.
Oh
Like
my gosh, I can't. That
So-
laugh is.
He sees her.
I think he like more feels her than
Yeah.
sees her, but yeah.
I believe he did say he's seen her run up and down the stairs
Oh
before.
yeah.
And you guys didn't hear this while you were there?
Nope.
So after the fact. So you're going cruising along
And-
through life.
And that lady, like, she was old school. She did not
Yeah.
like JR at all. She
Nope.
was like, he kept saying, what was
JR
it?
draws in the
He kept saying
The
something
gentleman?
like that angry old lady or something like that.
And
And I
the
could
angry
hear
old
her.
lady in the kitchen.
Yeah, I could like hear her in my head, and she was like, "I'm not like my name's not old lady, it's Beth." You
Yeah.
spick. Like she was like, and I was like, "JR, are you Mexican?" She's like, "No." Like she was kind of a racist little old lady.
Yeah.
She did not like him. She didn't like his energy. She felt really offended that he kept calling her
I was-
old lady.
I was trying to, because she definitely has an accent,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting to me, because I mean, they would, right?
Yeah.
And speak different languages and all kinds of things. She definitely has an accent when she says buttons.
Yeah,
You
very
can catch
pronounced.
it very
like,
pronounced.
Do not push the button.
Yes, almost like an English or
Like-
a British accent.
Like racist Mary Poppins.
I don't think she was so like. I don't know if it was necessarily like a race thing, but it was more like she was just annoyed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she called him.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know. Maybe that name was normal back in the 30s. I don't know. I wasn't there.
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to go over there and speak to her firmly yet gently.
But what's interesting, I didn't put it on here, but
Send her
so
through some.
when you could hear where they were like, there was definitely a whisper, like some sort of a noise you heard. When I was in the bathroom earlier, and I'm still recording, so I'm going to the bathroom, you can hear it, and you can hear this like, and I was like, what? So I played it for Mary Jane. I was
Yeah.
like, what was that? Like, was that me? I don't sound like, and it wasn't.
You're in the
was it?
bathroom recording, not in the bathroom bathrooming.
I was, yeah, both.
You were bathrooming and a ghost.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
I had to go.
The show
Yeah.
must go on.
I
And you never know. You could
Step
get your
one.
last evidence in there.
Step one.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to make sure I manhandle all of my bathroom needs prior to going to Ghost House. Step two. If I'm bathrooming and a ghost jumps out, that'll be the quickest bathrooming that I have ever done. I guarantee that.
But I mean, when we were at the witch's tree and we all went to the bathroom, just like in the trees, we knew something was watching us, but we're like, oh, we gotta pee
You
too
have to
bad.
go.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? Wait for it to be
I
sucked back
mean,
into your body?
You could be at home and a spirit
gotta
could be
go.
walking by on the street.
Right
and
in the
just
middle of
decide to-
snapping one off, you know.
Mhm.
The ghost. Wafted in, buddy.
That EVP is
That's that little girl's laugh. It's if I saw a real little girl doing that,
there's no
Cute.
way to explain that any other way. I mean, I don't care how you chop that up. That is a little girl laughing.
Mhm.
And that person told her, don't touch the buttons. That is not something that you have to be told what it says.
Yeah.
That's not something that
that
I
little
think it may
girl's
sound.
laugh is
that-
super pronounced.
Yeah, it reminds me of when you have a little kid and you just start tickling them and they can't control
Yeah.
their laughter.
Yeah.
It's great. More people should do that.
Except it comes from a disembodied spirit.
That is terrifying.
That is not great. Like, I mean, now I'm pretty sure pickles are ruined for me.
Pickles are out.
Yeah, pickles are. They are a no-go.
So, do you guys have some ghost hunts planned for the near future? And what does
We
that look like?
Okay, so as far as hidden realms, we're taking a different approach this year with trying to get some cryptids. We're also trying to get more of let's go out without anybody else. So it's just us because we need to have that for us as well. We are doing house cases, but we are only going to do like one every 3 months because we're just trying to make sure that we don't overdo ourselves. And
Well, and some of these take a long time.
And if you're helping
Yeah.
someone out, you don't want to
Be
cut
rushed.
corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the last one we were working on, we started right before I had surgery, so like the end of October, and we're just now doing the follow up on the 5th because COVID and holidays, and so there's all of that stuff.
Do you guys
too.
wear masks when you go over to the? Do you make the ghost put on a mask?
It's really preference on the homeowner, what they feel most comfortable with. And if you feel sick at any time, and we normally take temperatures, then
Yeah, it's
Do
probably
not
not a
come.
good idea if you're feeling sick not
Yeah.
to go over to the.
especially if you're having either mental health or physical problems, you never want to go to a place that could have a darker entity because they will go after your weakness.
Yeah.
So say
They
you have
see you
a-
as vulnerable.
Say you have a heart problem, they will go for your heart. You have mental health problems, they'll go for your head.
Yeah, and that's one thing from the very start. I've always said if you have a mental health problem, you need to stay home and nurse that.
How do
before
you
come
know
out.
if you have a mental health
Okay,
problem?
if you just went into being checked into a psych unit, you probably
Okay.
shouldn't be going.
Oh, well,
You feel
If
suicidal.
you feel suicidal,
Oh, yeah.
super
if you
anxious.
can't get out of depression, and maybe you're not
Mhm.
suicidal, but that depression's just something's not right. Like those things happen. Let's see. Carrie's wondering what place in Utah has been the most active for you. That for me would be, I think, Ogden. I can't even stand to be in Ogden. I
And I
drop
live
Mary off
there.
and I'm like, bye.
Yeah.
well, Mary, last time you told us about like a house you were raised in when you were real little that's haunted, and you guys would drive by there, and
So it was the house that my parents lived in before they gave birth to me. So it was
Okay.
their newlywed house.
uh-huh.
And that's where they actually did have an experience with the demon. And they had multiple. It was before my mom got into the paranormal or anything. They both knew they had gifts. They just, for the religion they're a part of, you're told, don't worry
Don't
about
exercise
it. You
it.
have this gift, but don't use it. You need to focus on now, not later. And they'd have multiple bishops, priests come in. Nobody could do anything about it. They eventually just had to move. And my parents moved 2 blocks away from that place.
That is not far enough.
And we pass by it and we still get the creepiest feels.
Oh.
We still get that spirit about every 2 years will come over to our house and wreak havoc for like a week just to say, I'm still in your guys' lives. You can't escape me type thing.
You don't live far enough away. I'm thinking like
And we've lived in this current house for
Rhode Island.
19
Well,
years.
you have
and
to
it's only
realize
2
though they're
blocks away.
interdimensional. They're not just going to
Mhm.
stay to the one area. Like they could even be in 2 areas at once,
Yeah.
3 areas at once. There's no such thing as
Mhm.
time and space for them.
Have you ever thought about learning, say, Pakistan?
Pakistani.
Well, that's one of the
I've-
houses we were just working at had
Mhm.
gin. Like
Yes,
Yeah,
we
that's-
talked about that last time.
Mhm.
They're more of an entity than a spirit or a demon.
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Yeah.
gin or
Did that
Shapeshifter.
resolve? We talked about that last time. Do you know? Did that resolve? I know
No,
he moved,
He
right?
just had to move, and the house is sold. The last
Yeah,
time I
it
heard.
sold really fast.
We've been thinking about like going and knocking on the
Yeah,
door
like,
and being like, "Hey, how are
"Hey,
things
here's my
going?
card."
Like, you having any issues?"
Let me ask you this. So you just buy a house, Betsy, and some ladies come by. You're 3 months into it.
I demand to know everything.
And some ladies come by and say, we just did a exorcism here a month
Mhm.
ago.
I'd be like, Come
I-
inside.
no, I would never
I'm
say
making
that
coffee.
to start off.
oh,
I
I
wouldn't want to scare them. I would just be like, "Hey, I'm looking for new clients.
Yeah, if
Here's
you're
my
having
card if
issues,
you're having issues,"
yeah.
because you don't want to. If they're not
Scare
having
them.
issues, I don't want them to be like, "Oh, well, they came over and said there was a demon, so my house is now haunted."
Yeah.
Or
So
to
you're
make
gonna
them
show up?
vulnerable.
Yeah.
Mm.
Have you heard the good word? White shirts on, black tie. Sarah.
Yeah, right. I'm all, hey.
Oh.
And that's kind of like one of our newer things too, is we start telling people like if you go to somebody's house, you don't automatically say upstairs, Bob's room, there's a demon there, or because once you say that word,
It's
no
They
gonna
become
matter
fixated.
no matter what you tell them, even if you were incorrect, that is always going to be there. There's no way of escaping it. There is nothing you can do to make sure it's gone. They will just be, and especially if they have kids.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
is there anything in my house?
No.
No.
Good to know.
They're being gentle.
Good to know.
They looked away from me when they said no.
I even
Sarah
told you
may
that
have-
last time I
Sarah
was
may have
here.
blinked.
There's nothing here.
There's nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, except for my child spirit that follows me.
your
here.
your friend that
Jackie.
follows you around. Yeah, she's with you. We talked about that last time. She
Mhm.
hangs out. Is
What
she-
does she think about everything going on with you right now?
With her, she's been a little more quiet during all of this. She hasn't been playing jokes or pranks in
So
my
she's-
room
She's
lately.
just giving you a rest.
Mm-hmm.
Can she help you out at all?
I think it's really up to her.
Can we, Jackie? Can we teach you some ghost foo? And you
Because
can.
she used to like hide stuff in my room to make it really hard for me to find stuff. Moving things was the biggest thing. Playing jokes, turning on my record player.
Now, if I remember, she was like a 12-year-old when you
She's
guys first.
15.
But she's wanting to age with you,
Mhm.
so she's now acting more mature
Yes.
and
And she started
kinda-
to swear recently.
yeah, imitating
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
You better be a good example.
Um,
No more pickle magic.
I mean, it depends on what you think of a good example as. Do I do drugs and drink and go
Good.
to parties? No.
Good.
But Do I maybe do some spells?
Do-
Listen to darker music? No, like alternative music, like emo music type stuff. She will sit there and quote songs
Oh,
and
how
say
funny.
her favorite album and band. She will tell you that.
You're torturing her with that god awful emo stuff.
No, she loves it though. She will tell you all about it. She will tell
That
you.
means you tortured her.
How would I torture her with it if she loved it?
Oh, that poor child. I'm sorry. But okay. So there's nothing in my house. I'm gonna ask this every time you guys come over.
Yeah.
Anything
we've
now?
noticed.
I mean, we do cover quite a bit of strange things
But
in
you,
the four
you
walls
may
of
have
this
to
room.
watch it because, if you're just inviting random people from the internet, hint, hint. Who knows
They
what you're
could
going to
bring
bring in
something.
here? They could bring something and it could stay because it likes you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
We've had a couple house cases where something like that has
Yeah.
happened.
They're like, I invited so and so over and they're into dark stuff. And I told them, I'll see you later.
well, you
And
didn't
then
look
my
like you were
house-
into dark stuff.
Well, you never know.
I mean,
Those are usually the dangerous ones.
you
She's a sleeper.
like the librarian on that
Mhm.
show where that guy takes her home and she's
Mm-hmm.
ties him to the bed.
Yeah, Misery.
No, the Belushi show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
Um,
another news story. So everyone knows who Danny Masterson is, right?
mhm.
He's that guy who played on The Ranch
70s show.
and the 70s show. Yeah,
Provo, or not Provo, from Park City. He's got a bar up there.
yeah, he's got the really super curly hair.
Uh-huh.
So he got caught up in some rape and sexual harassment
terrible
charges. Anyway, so the rape charges he got convicted of, but I want to know how powerful is the Scientology, the Church of Scientology.
Well, it's
As
just
far as
another
money
cult.
goes, as far
Yeah.
as money goes, they've got a lot of it.
They've got to be, because the civil lawsuit against him is been ordered through the courts. The judge ordered it to be arbitrated through the Church of Scientology. So it's not even arbitrated through the court. So like court says, no, we're going to hand
The
you over.
civil lawsuit,
The
where-
civil suit is arbitrated through the church.
where they're arbitrating or talking about the compensation to the victim, they're having it arbitrated through the church.
I'm sure it's going
That
to,
is a conflict of interest.
That
He
is-
is a member.
and so are some of the victims.
Honestly, though, I can tell you just from giving like a look at him, he's always given me the creeps. I wouldn't put it past him for that to all be true.
Was it the ginger part or the?
No, there's sometimes you just look at certain people and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
Do I
it's-
give you the creeps?
it's
Okay,
so
good.
it's so common in people who have lots of wealth to take advantage of people, around
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
you're invincible.
Yeah, it's just so common. And then you're backed by the Church of Scientology.
Yeah, I mean Tom Cruise is going to be the arbiter, I suppose. You go in there and
Jump around on furniture. He's a freak.
yeah, that is.
I cannot believe that is allowed in the United States.
It's
Well,
not just
what's
allowed,
being
but it's
allowed these days. Is,
ordered by the courts.
That is horse shit.
Well, and probably when they signed up and gave them all their deepest,
They
darkest
probably
secrets,
agreed to that.
they probably signed a
Son of
contract
a-
about
They
it.
probably did.
And I'm
People,
sure she did too, which is it talks about
they're going to have to go
Jane,
and
there's
exercise
two
their
Jane Does and a couple other ladies that are all in the organization. But it sounds like when they first came out, the organization started harassing
they
them.
well,
squashed it.
yeah, I have friends that live in LA because I grew up in California and stuff, and they say like if there's anything that they start thinking you're suspicious and may call them out, you will start having people following you.
Mhm.
Like you'll look outside your house, there'll be people standing there, and they're always wearing black and looking and writing notes about you, and they follow you in the cars, and it's a really creepy situation.
And the only reason these girls even got the courage to come forward is a couple of Danny's very close friends called him out.
Is that what happened?
Mm-hmm. And they went to the girls and emboldened them and said, "Listen, you can't
So
allow this to fly. He
I don't know-
continues to do this. He's got to have more victims."
I don't know
there."
anything about what he did. I don't know. I don't follow it.
Well, the one girl was 14.
Was he like raping them?
Yes.
Like, oh.
Yeah, like Bill Cosby style.
Oh, so he's drugging
He
them and
drugged
raping
him
them?
too. Oh gosh, that's even worse.
Yeah, and there were a couple of very well-known people. Ashton Kutcher was one of them that actually helped these girls to get attorneys.
Now, see, and he's got good vibes. I like him. That's just such a rough thing.
What a turd.
Yeah, that.
And I dug him on that 70s show, but he does have that creep factor.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, okay, you're a good actor. You can play the part, but you play the part of a creep because you're a creep.
Yeah. Lately, though,
Living
like
up to
the
the
last
role.
few years, Nicolas Cage, man, has been giving me very creepy vibes.
Yeah,
Really?
he kind of
Which
always did
There's-
with me.
I didn't really
You're
notice so much
talking-
when I was younger, but like
you're
now I'm
talking
like,
post Con Air Nicolas Cage, all right? I mean,
Well, that was a good movie, I will say.
yeah, we don't want to disparage Con Air.
Well, I mean, he's
Nicolas
got some
Cage.
great movies. I'm not even arguing that, but there's just
Raising
something
Just as a
about
person.
him. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So he's giving you some creepy
He
vibes.
does. It gives me creepy vibes. I wouldn't want to be like if he was like, "Let's go on a date." I'd be like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
I've got a couple of tough ones. All right, Stephen King.
Creep factor a million.
He's got all his books seem to lead to a little bit of a pedo
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
If you read into any of his writings, he's a creep.
There's
But you know, I've heard though that he's a lot like how I am. Like I dream things and then I write it in a book, and if I wanted to, I could take that and embellish it into a story because they're that creative. These aren't just
I
things
mean,
that he just thinks about. And they
I
like,
could
pop
too,
up.
but I would leave the pedo stuff out. Come on.
I agree with you there. That doesn't need to be.
Because that's in almost every book.
Mhm.
There's an explanation of she may be a teenager, but only for 7 minutes. And he's already explaining, you know, stuff. Granted, they're commonly surrounding a child explaining it, but still, an adult man shouldn't.
It was like, this is what I felt like when I was 13.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Another creepy factor thought. We got Stephen King, Bill Gates.
I don't even really know if I know enough about him to even have a opinion on that.
Well, he was sued in the United States court for genocide.
No, you know who gives me the creeps? Okay, I gotta just tell you guys this. So you know that I think it's called Sonobello, and it comes on the commercial, and the guy's got like he's over Botox and wanting to look like John Travolta. You know, yeah.
I know exactly who you're talking
My
about.
dad, my mom, and I have always been like, oh, there's.
He
something
looks
wrong
like a plastic,
yeah. There's just like,
misformed
yeah,
Ken
like
doll.
this. And he's like,
Yes.
if you want to be skinny, come to Sonobello. And I'm like, oh, dude, I don't know what you're going for there, but it is not working. You give me the creeps. I sent it to my family in California because we're talking about it. I'm like, you got to see this.
What do you think about Sean Connery?
Oh my gosh, he was so sexy.
Fantastic. Did you watch the one where he was interviewed by Barbara Walters and she's like, so you said years ago you hit a woman? He's like, I stand by it. I was like, you go. This
I
happened like in
him.
the 2000s. He's like, dude, she gets out of line. You got to straighten her out.
Oh, God.
You got to correct. Never with a closed hand. Always open. It was just like right there. I was like on TV and everything. He didn't care.
Well,
All
there's a difference though between like beating somebody and sometimes having to be like, you know what, that was wrong of you, or I need to shock you out of the screaming fit.
That's right. That was wrong of you.
I'm not saying it needs to be like give them a black eye or something, but
No. Never aim for the eye. Too much evidence. With the cheek. Nice and fatty. Doesn't bruise easy. No, just kidding. All right. So let's run through some of the comments before we close
I
this
think
down.
the only one we really have left is where would you go for an amateur for a good place to go?
Ooh. I would tie into this society that marries what's the word? I want to think of a fancy word. Structuring, amalgamating. I don't know. I'm just making up shit now. Conjuring.
Yes.
Oh.
Something that
Well,
we're working on.
oh, I would definitely like see when they're advertising it and then do some background research. For me, if it's like a scary place, skip it. And, you know,
If there's a chance there will be ghosts there, I'm not
Yes.
going.
like,
Okay, if you
Spencer just
research
smells a
it
good
and you know that
place.
there's something tragic that happened there,
Mhm.
areas around old hospitals, old mortuaries, cemeteries,
no, they've got that.
war places, military stuff. That's
Yeah.
always
They've got that chocolate factory there in North Salt Lake, right?
which one? The Hatch family chocolate. I love chocolate.
Seas.
Seas,
Seas,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
toffee. Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm thinking
You could ghost hunt there.
we could do a ghost hunt there.
I've done a ghost hunt at Hatch's Family Chocolates before. The one up
Uh-huh.
in the avenues. of
Don't
Salt
ruin
Lake.
it. Nothing was there, right?
Ryan
There was
Don't go-
said-
up there actually.
That's the older one, right?
Glenwood
Mhm, the one up in the
Cemetery.
You
avenues.
didn't hear me say don't ruin it. You didn't. You weren't.
A good place to start would be Bensinger's Mill and
Mhm.
then
Yeah,
Great
I love
Cliff Lodge
Benson.
up in Ogden. Those are
Great.
some good places to start.
Now I've heard tell that there's like a underground tunnel in Ogden.
So back in the days during the Prohibition, there was an underground tunnel that connected a lot of the bars on 25th Street,
Mm-hmm.
along with Union Station and then Ben Lomond Hotel, which is now the Bigelow apartment building. You can't investigate anymore just because it's no longer a hotel. Now, all of those tunnels are closed off with cement and gravel. So you can go to the entrance of where the tunnel was if you can get a business to take you down there, but you can't go inside the tunnel. You can just see the entrance of where it may have been, and that's
Mm.
it.
That's it. That is wild. So they had like a ninja alcohol
Where they
tunnel.
would like move the alcohol from the trains over to either the hotels or
Yeah.
the bars,
See-
the restaurants.
I'm not clear exactly what. Okay, so Ryan says Glenwood Cemetery in Park City is a good place to go, and then he also put on 25th Street.
Yeah.
So
Which a lot of the places on 25th Street, you'd have to get permission from every single business. And most of those businesses get so many people that want to go in there, they just automatically say no, no matter what.
Oh.
It just becomes.
And they don't even want to mess with it.
So our
Especially during COVID.
our cemeteries usually kind of haunted places.
they talk amongst themselves. You don't get a
Mhm.
lot of interactions, but you will get stuff like obviously if
So
you go
like you're
camping
hearing
in
the
cemetery,
ghosts
you're gonna
just
Yeah.
having a conversation all
I
the
mean,
time.
you
Yeah, because
can
they're
go
like,
to-
look at these weirdos over there trying to talk to us.
I mean, you can go to Ogden Cemetery, which is known to be haunted, over on like 20th Street in between Monroe and I believe it's Adams. People go there all the time to paranormal investigate, but the spirits will not talk to you. They'll talk amongst themselves, but they will not acknowledge you.
Like what do they say?
Like, you can
amongst
hear them on
themselves?
like they're
spirit
there to
box, like,
rest.
You,
Like,
yeah,
what
you
are
can
y'all
hear 'em
doing
talking
here?
amongst themselves. They won't talk to you. They
What
won't
do
acknowledge
What
you.
do they say to each other? What
Just-
do ghosts talk about?
Like, did you see your family today? Did you see that crazy car? I've heard them talk about a Tesla before, or their SoundCloud. They'll talk about their SoundCloud amongst
Their
each other.
What's
SoundCloud, like the
SoundCloud?
music.
Yeah, it's like where
Streaming?
unknown rappers will like drop their music.
Oh, I didn't realize
So they
knew
have
that.
a
They must have
SoundCloud?
died recently. 'Cause
We're on
like,
Yeah.
SoundCloud. I wonder if they talk about us.
I mean, when we were at that hotel in Ogden with JR just the other night, I mean, that spirit Jeffrey was talking all about him.
Oh yeah, Jeffrey.
He was getting in and telling.
See, that would
everything.
freak. That would scare. I'm not
We were
homophobic,
laughing,
but
so
I do not
much.
want to be sexually assaulted. Thank
Didn't
you very
he?
much.
He got bruised too. Something happened where he.
Well, no, so
Got
he,
rough with
he
him.
left his wallet on the front runner when he was coming down to Ogden, and he jumped over a lime scooter and fell. He like flew like 3 feet and fell, and that's what happened to his
Oh.
arm.
Oh.
Okay.
So the ghost didn't go
No,
I was a little
go
unclear
all
on that.
possessive.
No.
Go all Sean Connery.
So,
on
are
him.
you guys going to help him get rid of this ghost, or is this just going to be fun and play
depends
for you
on
guys?
if he wants us to. We
I
can
mean,
help him.
he's sort of
He's having
he
fun
likes
with
to
it.
collect stuff. He's having
Mhm.
fun with it. He bought a doll just to see if it was haunted, and then made a Facebook for it.
Yep.
And
Now,
was in a haunted hotel trying to like get it attachments. I think.
Yeah.
I have to
Those
tell
things
you,
happen.
my house is much more peaceful since I gave that stupid doll to Nate.
Yeah.
Oh,
I work out of my basement, and it doesn't even bother me.
Since you gave Fred to
Yeah.
Nate to hang out with George.
yeah.
George apparently had his legs, they're usually crossed. And I guess Nate said his mom came in the room and its legs were uncrossed yesterday or the day before. Yeah.
I wonder if George needs to meet Jeffrey. So Laura says, Mary and I are soulmates, pretty sure.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah. Yeah, Laura talks about this stuff a lot with me. She's not as in depth as you guys are, but she definitely digs this stuff.
And she's fearless.
She
She had a really serious haunting at her home that she came on the show and talked to us about, and she knows now that she invited it in, but like she didn't leave. She was like, "No, I'm claiming this space."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would have
Yeah.
said, "It's all yours." Oh, okay.
yeah, I would have done it.
Let me take what I can carry.
Yeah.
I would have done an exorcism through C4. I would have spread that bastard across 3 blocks.
And she
there'd
was
be
like,
little-
"I'm not leaving. I'm claiming my space."
Mhm.
And that's what we tell people to do too, is like, you need to claim your space if you're not claiming it.
No.
Because they may still be there, but they're going to be a lot less quiet because they don't want to have to put up with, having
Exactly. They want
confrontation.
it to be an easy takeover.
Mm.
Well, I'm sure,
Okay, we did answer how
Yeah,
long do the ghosts
so-
stay, and
what's the
Carrie-
best way to clear yourself so nothing follows you home?
So I would say, first of all, always make the statement, nothing is allowed to follow me home.
Mhm.
That's always a
set the
good
intention.
practice.
Yes.
Set your intention.
so like
Depending, I may even go so far as to sage or Palo Santo myself, or put a mist of like the grounding essential
Yeah.
oils. Grounding's always really good for heavy places. It kind of though depends more on the situation and how you feel though. For
My
me.
favorite thing to do is, make the statement, you cannot follow me home and you will not follow me home. You need to stay here. But then also take a second and imagine, like, when you're in preschool and they tell you, like, stay in your personal space bubble. I like to imagine that bubble surrounding myself with it being lit with holy white fire. Nothing can come into my bubble. Nothing can attach itself to me through that bubble. This is my bubble and my bubble only. And just use that along with the statement.
And sometimes I do that, and I even imagine it to have like an electrical grid. So if they touch it, it's like, zzz.
Yeah.
There
Your
you go.
intention is very powerful.
And you can even do that around your house.
Yeah.
You can be in the middle of your house and just make it build further and further out till it stretches the whole property.
so
Yep.
you envision this
Mhm.
protection, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then put salt on your pillow.
Not on my
On your
pillow.
pillow.
I do it like in a circle around me, like around the bed,
Mhm.
not on my pillow.
Okay. Salt
You're
around.
safe. You ingest
Yeah.
lots of
Yeah.
It's
salt.
like with my house, because we get used to spirits trying to come over all the time to communicate.
Well, you had that one that came over
Mm-hmm.
that got murdered.
Yes, I remember that. It was a crazy experience. We didn't realize what was going on. We're like, who is the spirit in our house? And finally, we just pulled out the spirit box, which you're not really supposed to do in your homes, but we had control of the situation. And we cornered it, and we're like, why are you here? What are you doing? Only to find out that he was murdered, and then they found his body in the same place that he told us.
He was just
Yeah.
trying to let somebody know.
Mhm.
Because didn't
And
he have
ba-
a son?
Yeah,
Yes,
he
he had a
wanted you to make
son,
contact
And I
with
did
his
find
son.
his son.
I would have been like, how did you find me? Are you going door to door? Like,
I'm sure.
Yeah, well, a
well,
lot
That's what
of
I'm
the
saying.
time-
They've got to be drawn to
I'm
you.
lot
sure
of the
mediums
time-
glow to them or
yeah, they
something.
say it's like a beacon and like how
Mhm.
it is for like ships.
Yeah,
like
and
a
when
whoopee
there's
light.
3 in one house, imagine how
Yeah.
bright
Can
that
you
would
imagine?
be.
And me, I'm so imperceptive. They probably don't see me.
I mean, at this
They-
point,
if they heard me, they would probably go tell other people, "Shit,
Yeah.
I heard something. I didn't see it."
at our house, a lot of the time at night, twice a week, what me and my mom will do, or just me, we'll have a whole bunch of spirits just in our backyard, waiting, they need help crossing over. So we'll
They're
just
like,
open a
one at a
doorway.
time.
We just open a doorway and we're like, okay, you guys can go through and cross over.
That's like that show where
'Cause
the
they'll just
guy's a
gather up, like,
dentist.
A lot of the time, also, it's almost like they'll come by our house and it was like they're being chased, like they're in fear for their lives, and they'll be like, okay, you can go
What
in our
chases
backyard.
them?
We don't know. Sometimes,
Well, it's
So
likely
there's a
a
ghost
scary
ghost?
experience.
Mhm,
To find
we'll be
yourself
like,
not
okay, you
crossed
can come
over.
into our
Yeah.
backyard, and they're in a protected space for now. Like they can't come in our house, but nothing that we don't allow can come in our yard. So we'll allow them into our yard, and then twice a week we'll open that doorway to the other side so they can go through and cross over. We
What
get
if
that
there's
so much.
like a ghost chaser monster that we don't know about, that only they see something?
I mean, there's been a couple of times where it's been a hellhound chasing them. We get that a lot in Ogden. Hellhounds roaming the streets.
I think we need to have we got to do that 27 Club show.
Yes.
And we need to have Mary come in and talk about the Hellhounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be coming up soon.
Whoa.
This is freaky. I get the chills thinking about it.
Looks like we're coming up on time.
Yep. Yeah, we're coming up on the end. Thanks for joining us.
Oh my gosh. That laugh is,
Yeah.
I don't know, how do I sing a song to clear it out of my head?
I'm sending the USB thing home with the...
Not with me. No.
Oh, Sarah's taking it.
And I'm not listening to the show because I cannot get that laugh out of my head.
These are... yeah. This is...
That is freaky.
But it wasn't an evil laugh. It was
Mm-mm.
just playful. So keep that in mind.
Mm.
And nothing bad happened to us at that house.
Yeah.
Except for what's his name got called a bad word.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
But I mean,
He
that's
was-
nothing,
But maybe
like,
it's not a
physical or
bad word
scary.
where she
But
comes
we
felt
from.
antagonized.
But you know, we get stuff like that all the time. Mary and I are
Mhm.
like, all of us women. It's always like, you're a whore. Like,
It's like they're
I mean,
just
I'm like,
trying
no,
anything to
mhm,
get your
yeah.
attention.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Like naughty teenagers.
yeah.
I've raised a few of those.
Well, I mean...
You didn't. No, you didn't. Don't lie.
I know.
I raised your naughty teenager and my other brothers.
And I got the golden child.
I'm telling you, and you deserved a naughty teenager.
I was a great child.
I mean, imagine how my mom felt. Like me driving
I
her and all
cannot.
these things.
Mm-mm.
Mary's like the most mature. I can't even like out of everybody. We're like, oh, like ask Mary. She's got the most mature mind of us all.
And you're
She's
just so
18.
you're just so fine with all of
And
this.
she's
I mean, I
mellow.
grew up in it. You just kind of get used to it. Like
Grew up.
I
But
always
it's us. We all use our different talents, and
in
you know,
different ways. Yep.
what she does wouldn't necessarily work if I do it, and what
Mhm.
I do doesn't work if she does it. It's just, and we
Yeah,
have
you
to,
do demonominating me.
I'm actually doing
Demonomy.
angelology, I guess you would call it, studies right now.
Mm.
So that's really interesting. Just I don't even know even how to. They're talking about like how Lucifer was a seraphim and the 9 levels of angels, and
Mm-hmm.
we each come with our own guardian angel when we're born. Like there's all these different things from the Bible. It's
I
really
got one of them
interesting.
little fat cherubs that just plays arrows everywhere. Whatever. Well, hey, you gonna help me out? Who? What? You know, his cloud's all fluffy and comfortable. He doesn't get off of it.
Awesome show.
Yes. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We will be back on Tuesday, and
I'd like to plan a show where people call in and tell us about a haunting or something,
That
and then
would-
That would
you
be
guys can like
fun.
help break it down. Like
Yes.
it may have been this, or
I would love.
I think we would need lots of shows of that. We'll have
The
to.
only
Have,
problem is though is you get people who automatically go like, I
It's
just
a
know it.
demon.
I just know it was a demon, or what was the one? It was like it was a cat demon on my bed, and we're like, well, how
Yeah.
did you know it was demonic? Well, I don't.
yeah.
So that's kind of a hard thing to.
Can I break this down for you,
Yeah.
Sarah? If there's a ghost in my room, it's a fucking demon.
Well, like even demonic, it's so rare. So,
Yeah.
demons are so rare. It's like 1 in a million chance to come across a demon. I mean, in house cases, we've only come across 1 actual demon. Everything else has been like an entity, like a jinn.
It
or
just
the fae,
feels
or
like
just a
it to
human
someone
spirit.
who's never experienced
Yes.
that. It just feels like that laugh doesn't
Mhm.
sound evil, but it makes all the hair on the back of my neck
Yes.
stand up.
Yeah.
That's freaked out. Freaked out.
Ryan says Mary is the bomb for sure.
Yes, and so is Sarah.
Yes,
Don't
but
skip that he
Mary-
said that also.
Mary.
Sarah.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much, ladies. Remind us if we ever go camping together. I'm going to reserve 2 sites. Just throwing it
For
out there.
future reference.
Well,
Yeah.
just and two, like just so everybody knows, the 3rd of the month we're starting back up again at Needful Things. First one is
Yes.
psychometry, so 7 p.m. If anybody wants to come
That's
to
Saturday the 3rd.
that.
That is
No, the third Saturday of
the
every
third
month
Saturday.
The first
from February.
We
until
should
October.
go. We should go to that one. Put it in your
So the
calendar.
first one coming up would be February 20th.
February 20th.
Needful
Yes.
Things in Murray. It's right next door to a mortuary.
Yes.
It is a not a punch up, but antique shop.
Yeah.
Is
An
that the
antique
one
shop.
on
State
on State Street?
Yeah.
And what
Okay.
time is it at?
7 p.m.
Okay.
So you
Ooh.
get to go find your haunted item. We get to investigate it and get the equipment out. It's really fun. It's something to do.
And you also get to practice your psychic gifts that you may have with it.
If you
Get
have a
reading off
kid
of
that's
it.
around 14, I would say that's probably a good age for them to be okay coming. I wouldn't bring little kids, but
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think about gentlemen at 45? Are they
Unless they have to have a creepy white van, I think they're
Ah,
okay.
I'm getting me a van. Yes.
Get
That
a van,
is
take the seats out of the back and take all the like inside plastic pieces out, so it's just the metal.
Oh no, I've got to have bells or something. Whatever blocks ghosts, and I'm gonna have a control room set up with screens and
Have some witch
Instead
come
of-
in and do
Instead
some
of the
stuff on
Cheech and
it.
Chong pot, it's gonna be sage coming out of it.
yeah, whatever it
He's
is.
like, gotta light it up. Here's the button.
Yeah, I'll put it on a igniter.
That was the best one where it was like in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Up in Smoke.
was that Up in Smoke?
Yeah, my kids watched it the other day. I was like, "What are you watching?"
When they go down there and they make the whole van out of marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and God, we love having you guys. It's super fun. And we will see you guys on Tuesday.
Yeah. Have a
Tuesday.
great night.
Yeah.